Go passionately. Go fearlessly. Go confidently.
Go Birds!
Go confidently towards your goals with First Trust, Philly's hometown bank for nearly 90 years, and the official bank of the Philadelphia Eagles. We're focused on getting you over the goal line. So go with conviction, go with trust,
Go Birds!
and go forward with us by your side. First Trust Bank, the official bank of Philadelphia dreams. Oh, and go Birds.
The greatest fans on earth. It's a bold statement, but would you expect anything less from Philadelphia? 58 years of heartache creates a toughness, a grit, a resolve not found in most. Sure, our prayers were answered, but now that we've had a taste, we're looking for more. Pondley Hockey, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Go to get your game on. Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the stakes and the stakes. Go to get your parlay on. Go to get your party on. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean. Visit theoceanac.com to plan your visit.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Welcome to the Sports Betting Show covering the National Football League. I'm the Philly Godfather from PhillyGodfather.com, and we're going to change the way you guys bet on sports. But before we start firing away and giving out legendary winner after winner, I want to introduce the lineup. To the left of me, World Series of Poker champion, the legend, the man himself, Jamie Gold.
Oh, I'm so excited to be here. Thank you, Godfather. I'm just so interested to hear what picks you all have and how much value you're going to provide to the audience. And, you know, you had this incredible week last week. We're probably not going to go 13, 15, 17-0 every week, but we've all been crushing the NFL preseason, and it's going to be such a pleasure to work with you and Matt and 8-Ball and the team here at JAKIB Sports Media. So channel 159 on Sirius. People are going to be able to listen to us and watch us on YouTube and listen on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and all over the world. You're going to be able to hear and get all these free picks, all this great information. We're going to make you better sports bettors.
Yeah, we're also on the Sports Grid Network. But let's start firing. Let's give the guys what they want to hear, what they want to see. The NFL is almost here. We're going to go to Matt Boltepes from the College Kids first. Matt, the Eagles are a juggernaut. They're loaded. Last year, they were a minute and a holding call away from possibly beating the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. Currently, they're plus 600 to win the Super Bowl. Plus minus 110 to win the NFC East. Even though they're stacked, why are they not a good bet to win the Super Bowl this year?
Well, born and raised in Philadelphia, I'd love to tell you to go bet the Philadelphia Eagles.
Go Birds.
That's just not the case this year, right? Philadelphia Eagles, I mean, I bleed green, and it hurts my heart to say it, but we bet with our minds, not our hearts, right? So when I looked at this Philadelphia Eagles team, as great as they were last year, we look at the injury status of that team last year. They had all 22 starters starting in the Super Bowl. That's unheard of.
And usually the following season, it flips the other way. Like it's a war of attrition in the NFL.
Exactly, right? So when you look at the injury numbers, you look at back-to-back seasons of a team being that healthy year over year, the odds are not in that team's favor, right? They're not in the Eagles' favor this year. So that's a cause for concern, especially with a running quarterback that is taking hits like Jalen Hurts. Do you know how many QB sneaks and fourth down, close situations they were able to get with Jalen Hurts there?
And there's some big guys jumping on top of him on those 4th and inches, those 4th and 1, the goal line stances. And he did miss a couple games last year. So
exactly, and it's cause for concern. And then we look at the schedule last year, a couple teams they versed. Well, As great as their defense was, their neighbor and the Dallas Cowboys put up 40 on them, right? We looked at Green Bay. They put up 33 on them. Opening game against the Detroit Lions put up 35 on them.
Yeah, and we won by a field goal. I mean, and they couldn't stop a nosebleed. The Lions defense was horrible last year.
That's my point. And then you have the loss of some guys on that D line, which account for a lot of production. And you know this better than anyone.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the defense had 796 tackles last year. They lost 5 starters on the defensive side of the ball that accounted for 42% of those production numbers when it comes to tackles. They lose C.J. Gardner-Johnson, who had 6 interceptions on the year. That's a big loss. T.J. Edwards played almost every down last year. They're going to have some issues. And if you look at their schedule last year, especially the road schedule, they went 7-1 on the road last season, but their opponents' combined record was 52-80. So they played some weak teams, and they beat the Colts by a point. They snuck that one out. They beat the Lions by a field goal. They beat Arizona by a field goal.
Houston, it was a tie game at halftime. They barely took that away at the end.
Yeah, and they lost to Dallas. And, I mean, it's just I think it's going to be a lot tougher this year on the road. They're playing 6 teams that are favored to make the playoffs this year on the road, and they got an extra road game. So things aren't going to be as easy as they were last year. And if you remember, everything had to go right for them to get to the Super Bowl, not even win it. I mean, they were ranked. They had the most points scored in the first half last season of any team in the NFL. And usually no team repeats that the following year. The last team that repeated that was the 2009-2010 Patriots. So I don't see that happening again, having those big leagues and that cushion going into the second half.
And that's the greatest quarterback of all time you're talking about right there. So it's a little bit of a different story, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so you don't think it's a good idea to bet the Eagles to win the Super Bowl?
I do not. I do not like the Eagles this year. Like I talked about, the injury bug, cause for concern. That defense with all those losses, big cause for concern. As much as my heart says, like, I love this Philadelphia Eagles team and I bleed green, it's not their year.
Yeah. All right. With that said, let me go to 8Ball, the originator, the man, the myth. You see him on Twitter all the time, giving out winners and firing away like crazy. Who do you like from the NFC side to win the Super Bowl?
I'm going to be the most hated man in Philly after I make this statement. But the Dallas Cowboys at 16-1. You look at this team, they're not just the best team in the NFC, in my opinion. They're the best team in the NFL.
Wow, that's a big statement.
Dak Prescott missed 5 games last year. He led the league in turnovers, and they still managed to win 12 games. So you're looking at a 12-win team who didn't lose any significant players. They added Brandon Cooks to that explosive offense. They added Stephon Gilmore to that secondary. You add Mozzie Smith to that defensive line, and they're stacked on both sides of the ball. So we're talking about a 12-win team. If you can get Dak Prescott to play like the 2021 version of himself when he threw 37 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, then this team, I think, in my opinion, they'll be favored against anyone that comes out of the AFC.
Yeah, and their wide receiver core is stacked. You got DC Lamb, Michael Gallup's back. He's healthy. They're a very dangerous team. And what people don't understand is in the trenches, people think the Eagles' offensive line is better than the Cowboys' offensive line. And to me, it's pretty close. But last season, the Cowboys' offensive line led up 17 less sacks on the year. And when we flip it over to the defensive line, the Eagles had an amazing season, 70 sacks on the season. But they lost Hargrove and a couple of defensive players that accounted for 22% of their sack production. And I'm not expecting them to have anywhere near 70 sacks this season. And when it comes to the Cowboys, they had 54 sacks on the year, which was 4th best in the NFL. So like you're saying, the Cowboys are a very dangerous team.
So, you know, I'm your biggest fan, and you've made me a lot of money, and I follow all your information and sharp picks. But how can we say that the Chiefs would not be favored over the Cowboys?
I just think from top to bottom, roster construction, offensive line, defensive line, I think there's no weakness in that Cowboys team.
So they play straight up. You think that the Cowboys are going to be favored?
I think they should be favored.
They should be, right. And that's where the value comes in, right? Because there's going to be a number that the Cowboys are getting that.
Wait a second. That's saying if the Chiefs make it to the Super Bowl.
Right.
Assuming.
Right.
Let's not jump the gun here, right?
Right.
As great as Mahomes is, as much as we love Andy Reid, there's so many teams on the AFC side that can get there.
I mean, yeah, there are. I'll tell you who I think where my money is going to go in the AFC. I actually I don't like the Jaguars to win it all, but I like them to win the AFC South. I think it's a good maybe minus 150 to 175, somewhere in that range. We can get that price. I like them to win the AFC South. I like the Niners to win the NFC West at minus 150.
Do you think they're the best team in the NFC, the Niners?
I can't say they're the best team in the NFC. I think they're going to win their division. I think they're going to win the West, and I think it's worth laying the 150. I like that bet. It's as opposed to just choosing who I think is maybe the best team. And overall, I feel like it is still the Chiefs until somebody shows me differently. I feel like it's the Chiefs, but I love the future that 8-Ball gave us. He gave us this weeks ago. And that future on the Dallas Cowboys was a great number, because we're hoping that it can get to the playoffs, and then we can hedge.
All right, great. All right, we're finishing up segment number 1. Make sure you come back for the second segment. We're going to give out more futures in the NFL.
Go passionately. Go fearlessly. Go confidently.
Go Birds!
Go confidently towards your goals with First Trust, Philly's hometown bank for nearly 90 years, and the official bank of the Philadelphia Eagles. We're focused on getting you over the goal line. So go with conviction. Go with trust.
Go Birds!
And go forward with us by your side. First Trust Bank, the official bank of Philadelphia dreams. Oh, and go Birds.
The greatest fans on earth. It's a bold statement, but would you expect anything less from Philadelphia? 58 years of heartache creates a toughness, a grit, a resolve not found in most. Sure, our prayers were answered, but now that we've had a taste, we're looking for more. Pondley Hockey, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Go to get your game on. Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the stakes and the stakes. Go to get your parlay on. Go to get your party on. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean. Visit theoceanac.com to plan your visit.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Betting show. Now, my next guest, I'm thrilled to have on. The reason is his information that he provides every day, every week, every month is so valuable to the sports betting market. So with no further ado, let me bring on Pro Football Doc. You can find him on Twitter at Pro Football Doc, Dr. David Chow.
Thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate you.
Thanks for coming on, Doc. I mean, I tell people all the time, the information that you provide for sports bettors is so valuable if you're looking to get ahead and turn a profit in this market. I mean, the injuries are huge. So let's start firing away. What are some of the players this year going into the first week of the season that are banged up? And what are some of the more healthier players coming into the first week of the season?
Well, look, how much time do you have, right? I mean, there's a long list. But you know what? I appreciate coming on here, and obviously, I know the stuff can be useful for gambling and futures and so forth. But we're injury experts at Sports Injury Central, and you know what you do with it, that's for you guys to figure out in handicapping. And so, you know, it's preseason futures. I mean, look, I'm not buying into Breece Hall having a great year. I'd take Dalvin Cook over Breece Hall. He's still coming off his ACL. High-end speed at 23 miles an hour is all well and good, but how quickly does he get up to 23 miles an hour? And it's about deceleration and cutting for a running back. How did Saquon Barkley do his first year back from an ACL? Not so well. So we're kind of would be happier with Dalvin Cook than Breece Hall and unders on his futures. But there's a lot of different injuries around the league. We can go any number of places. You know, Terry McLaurin in game when it happened, he said that's a turf toe. And that's going to be a problem for him, at least the first part of the season. And if he does or can play, he's going to lose half his route tree. And, you know, there's some offensive line issues with the Texans, and there's a lot of issues with the Texans. But we can go any number of places, wherever you want to go.
Hey, Doc, can I ask you a question? Hey, it's Jamie. You know, I thank you for sharing this information. Is really vital to our process. I just gave out a future on the Niners. And I believe that they're going to win their division, but this certainly has something to do with Brock Purdy because he's a beast. And I really believe in this young guy. But, you know, once they start having injuries and what happened to him going down in that playoff game last year, there is a concern. I would love to hear from you because they're telling me that he's healthy. Is that how you're feeling that could he make it through this entire season?
Well, we hope he can. The thing that you have to be careful on a Brock Purdy, here's the good and bad news. To say that it wasn't the Tommy John ligament is ridiculous. It was the ulnar collateral ligament, but it was a repair, not a reconstruction. Thus, it allows him a quicker recovery. But here's the issue. Even Tom Brady, during COVID, tried to get his players together so he could have some offseason practice. Brock Purdy hasn't had any, and he's still, you could argue, a rookie because he hasn't made it through a whole cycle yet. So yes, it's the same system, but clearly, you know, Kyle Shanahan's going to have to open up the playbook a little bit for him. You know, my worry on Brock Purdy is less purely about the elbow. Of course, if he gets it hit the same way, that could be a problem, but he's still a rookie. And, you know, look, in other sports, for example, baseball, that AAA or AA pitcher does pretty well for the first time or two through the lineup. But what happens when there's a good film and tape on him? That might be a concern for Brock Purdy and the 49ers.
It's a good point. Thank you.
Next up, we're heavily invested, Doc, in the Cowboys this year. And I'm always worried about the trenches, the offensive line, defensive line. Is any other starters banged up going into the season on either side of the line?
Well, the offensive and defensive line are not too bad right now. And, you know, at Sports Injury Central, and I'll get you guys the field view, the sick data that we have. And you're right. I mean, everyone knows it when it's a quarterback, you know, Brock Purdy, but you got to look at the trenches a lot of times. And, you know, I was doing some work today, and, you know, 3 out of the 5 Texans offensive line starters are out, and they had to trade for somebody. So now you got CJ Stroud behind a patchwork offensive line to start off there. So you make a very good point there. That's where we have worry for, let's say, any worry that we have for the Jets starts and stops with the offensive line. That's what submarined Aaron Rodgers and the Packers last season. Going into last season, we didn't like the fact that the left tackle Bakhtiari and the right tackle Jenkins were banged up still. And, you know, it's one thing if it's just one side and you can shift protection, but when it's bookends, that makes it much harder, which is why at the beginning of last season, we said, look, by injuries, we are not sure we like the Packers, and we like the under there for the season, and we like the over on the Vikings, and even to win the division. I think it was 240 at the time. So what we do is just off of injuries and what we see and projecting. And as you know, we're really the only site that does true injury analysis as opposed to injury reporting. So we don't just go by what the coaches say.
Hey, Doc, it's the 8-Ball here. We've seen a lot of fluctuation in this Browns-Bengals game with the line. I want to know, how healthy is Joe Burrow going into this game?
Well, when Joe Burrow went down, my cell phone went off. The Sports Injury Central staff was texting me and sending me video. He got carted off and whatever. And we actually put out there that it was a calf strain before the practice even finished. Now, where we disagree with Coach Taylor is he said it was mild. We thought it was at least moderate, grade 2, which explains why he's been out the rest of the preseason. The good news, though, is we think from the get-go, we always thought he would be there week 1. And Joe Burrow can play well from the pocket, and that's all you want him to do anyways. He probably won't rush much in the beginning because you don't want to accelerate out of the pocket and re-aggravate that calf. But he should be able to play and play well. We've always had confidence that we'd make it week 1. And part of that is also Joe Burrow's really never had a preseason. His rookie season was COVID. The second year was recovering from the ACL. The third year, last year, he had an appendicitis and appendix surgery, didn't play in the preseason. Now with the calf, so he's kind of used to it. But his offensive line is a little bit of a concern. They have a new left tackle. They switched Jonah Williams coming off injury to right tackle. La'el Collins is still out at right tackle, so there is some concern there for his offensive line. But Burrow himself should be fine. And it's more common that Zach Taylor plays coy with injuries, which is why you're not hearing that Joe Burrow is the starter. It was actually unusual that he came out right after that training camp practice and said it was a calf and sort of calmed the waters here. But once he's declared to play, who knows? You guys are the expert. That line's been climbing, I think, from 1.5 to 2.5. It might hit 3.
Yeah, we're actually on the Browns there, +3. But I know Matt has something to ask you as well.
Yeah. Hey, Doc. It's Matt Maltepes from the College Kids. So I have a question about the Philadelphia Eagles. Last year, they had all 22 starters starting in the Super Bowl. I wanted to talk about how hard that is to stay that healthy through an NFL season, such a violent sport. And with a running quarterback leading the charge, is there increased risk of injury with all those collisions?
Well, there's no question. The vast majority of injuries to quarterbacks happen when extending plays, whether it's staying in the pocket and trying to extend the play and getting hit, but more commonly as you go out of the pocket. I am always more nervous with, look, I had Phillip Rivers for a lot of my career with the San Diego Chargers. And he basically, well, he got hurt, but he always came and made the bell the next game. And part of it was he got rid of the football, right? He really wasn't a running quarterback. If you look at the majority of injuries to quarterbacks, it's extending plays and outside of the pocket. And that comes with the risk in terms of just more collision. I don't believe in injury prone. That's to call someone, there's a weak spot in their body, they're injury prone, but there are players that are more prone to injury. Look, if you're skiing down double black diamonds, you're more prone to tear up your knee than if you're skiing on green and blue runs, right? And so, yes, any mobile running quarterback potentially takes more hits.
Doc, I want to thank you for coming on each and every week. We're so thrilled to have you on here. The information you provide is so vital in what we do. And you guys are doing a great job at your website. So if you want to tell everyone where they can find you, your website, and any other information that you want to give out there.
Yeah, we're at Sports Injury Central, sicscore.com, and we have field views up, preseason injury report. Look, and the best feature I think we may have is Sick Insights, quick twitch. Look what's up with the latest with Cooper Kupp. Just go right there, bookmark it, whether it's for fantasy, DFS. And what we say is, look, we're not gambling experts. You guys are. You guys make the picks. But, if our injury information lines up with what you're thinking, maybe you want to, go more units. If it doesn't, maybe you want to exercise caution. But you guys are still all the best handicappers, and we just try and give you information to make your picks even better.
Thank you so much for coming on, Doc. We'll see you again next week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
His information is so valuable. I mean, some of the biggest wagers I've ever made was when a team starting offensive lineman, if they were missing 2 starting offensive linemen, I don't care who their quarterback was. I don't care how good their record was. I don't care what their point differential was, what their metrics were. I was betting against them. Because if you can't protect your quarterback, how are you going to move the ball?
You're getting that information early. Right?
Absolutely.
Before the public gets it.
Yeah.
Especially when you have 2 offensive linemen, right, that are out, for example, like you said.
Hold that thought, Matt. We're going to come back in segment 2. Don't go away. We're going to be giving out some more NFL futures.
Go passionately. Go fearlessly. Go confidently.
Go Birds!
Go confidently towards your goals with First Trust, Philly's hometown bank for nearly 90 years, and the official bank of the Philadelphia Eagles. We're focused on getting you over the goal line. So go with conviction, go with trust,
Go Birds!
and go forward with us by your side. First Trust Bank, the official bank of Philadelphia dreams. Oh, and go Birds.
The greatest fans on earth. It's a bold statement, but would you expect anything less from Philadelphia? 58 years of heartache creates a toughness, a grit, a resolve not found in most. Sure, our prayers were answered, but now that we've had a taste, we're looking for more. Pondley Hockey, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Go to get your game on. Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the stakes and the stakes. Go to get your parlay on. Go to get your party on. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean. Visit theoceanac.com to plan your visit.
EAGLES. Eagles.
Show. I'm glad everyone is following the action. We got a new guy at the table here. He's one of my lead handicappers at the PhillyGodfather.com, Bobby from TCK. Bobby, how you making out today?
Good. Pleasure to be here.
All right, great. Now, one of my good friends at the Borgata, Tom Gable's coming on next, sportsbook director. He's going to let you guys know what the public's on. Hey, Tom, thanks for coming on.
My pleasure. Great to be here with you.
Now, as we all know, these lines in the NFL have been out for weeks. But going into week one of the NFL season, where's your biggest liability on a side or a total so far in week one?
For week one, well, actually, these lines have been out for months. So, I mean, that's the thing. And let me just say a real quick caveat. So for us at Borgata, those who aren't familiar with the Atlantic City market, the two big feeder markets for Atlantic City are New York and Philadelphia. So you're always going to have liability, at least in the futures markets, on the New York teams and the Philly teams. Doesn't matter what sport, doesn't matter what the outlook is for those particular teams. It's just a fact, the way that this market operates. Not a surprise that, the Eagles have been, the Eagles game against the Patriots has been being heavily bet, as well as the Monday night game with the Bills and the Jets. Jets are certainly extremely popular play. They're our biggest liability for the Super Bowl this year. And it was really, once the Aaron Rodgers rumors started to ramp up there, that he was potentially going to the Jets, people just couldn't wait to hand over their money on Jets futures.
Hey, Tom, have you seen any big moves since the lines came out on week one in the NFL? I mean, I know sometimes, there are some really large line movements, and, we like to get in and jump in early on certain spots.
Right.
But what have you seen as kind of the biggest movements?
Well, there's been movement, obviously, in the Cincinnati-Cleveland game based on the Burrow injury. Open 2.5, got down to 1. That's now back to 2.5 as we're currently sitting. Some of the other movement that we've seen, the Jaguars game, that's one that's opened 3.5. Jags are now up to 4.5 there. The other game that actually we've seen some movement actually with is the Philly game. New England is taking some money there in the market. We actually opened that 5, and now it's down to 3.5.
Wow. So with all the Philadelphia sports bettors that come down to the Borgata, they're betting the Eagles, but the line's going the other way. So what does that tell? I mean, what does that tell everybody?
Well, not, you know, in terms of that, you guys know this very well. It's who bets that moves the number. It's not necessarily how much that we're taking or how many bets we're taking on a particular side.
Now I got another question for you, Tom. What's the biggest liability when it comes to Super Bowl future, conference futures, stuff like that?
Yes, so the Jets are our biggest liability for the Super Bowl. They're also our biggest liability in the AFC. In terms of, there's always liability there on the Eagles. There's liability on the Giants, which obviously we're not too worried about. And, you know, the Ravens are a team though that's been getting bet in terms of AFC futures, in terms of their division. Lamar is actually our biggest liability for MVP right now. And the other team in the NFC that we saw, at least, you know, respected players got involved in them very early, especially in the division when you can get them at 4-1 or plus 350, were the Seahawks. Obviously, the 49ers are the favorite to win that division, but Seahawks futures have been very popular in the offseason. So they're a team that a lot of people have been backing. And it's, you know, I don't know if it was the uncertainty there with Purdy and his injury at San Francisco, and but a lot of people like Seattle.
I got another question for you. Game day limits in the NFL, sides and totals. If I want to come down with a bag of money, what are you guys taking?
On day of game, listen, as you know, this is one of the most efficient markets that there is. So again, we'll take 100,000 on sides for NFL sides. Totals, we'll do 25. And if you want more, then we discuss it. You know, you can always ask for more, and we can always go higher if we need to.
That is a big number.
Yeah, that's big paper. And as I tell everyone all the time, you guys treat me so well down there, and I promote you guys all the time. That's pretty much it for the NFL segment. If there's anything you want to promote, tell everyone where they can find you. And I'm so glad that you're coming on each and every week.
Sure. So we're actually holding a week 1 handicapping contest for the NFL for those who are interested. It's week 1, all the 8 games, ATS, all the Sunday games and the Monday night game, ATS, $100 buy-in. You can buy up to 10 entries per person, $25,000 guaranteed. So it's only $100 per entry if you want to get involved in that. And the entry window and the buy-ins are available now. You can submit your picks now. We actually just went live today with that, so you can submit your picks as soon as you enter.
Before you go away, now, me and my guys, we always go out to Vegas to enter all those big $1 million contests, 5 picks a week. Are you guys planning on anything like that in AC, so we don't have to take the plane and go out there each and every year? Is that in the works?
Listen, I would love to. I've explored it many times. The issue in New Jersey is they don't allow proxies like they do out in Vegas. I myself play in the contest out in Vegas, obviously through a proxy. New Jersey doesn't allow it. I've tried with the regulators a couple times to get them to allow it, and so far it's a no-go. So we can only kind of do these one-off week contests, not a season-long one where we can put out a prize that's attractive enough, like $1 million or something like that.
I mean, that doesn't make any sense. The majority of the population is on the East Coast. You're making us fly all the way out there. We got to talk to these regulators, Tom.
Well, and Tom, speaking of $1 million, when's the next big poker tournament at the Borgata? Because I'd like to win another $1 million.
Come on, I think there's one coming up towards the end of September. I think there's a big series coming up there.
Excellent. Thank you.
All right, Tom, if you want to tell everyone where they can find you on social media.
Sure. On Twitter at JAKIB Sports is where you can find me. Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming on, Tom.
Thank you.
Well, there you go, man. We're going to go take a bag of money. We're going down to the Borgata on game day.
I'm in.
And we're firing away. Now, let me go to Bobby real quick. Bobby, I kind of piggybacked your Browns future. You know, you told me you liked the Browns. Matt told me, so I start reading on it. And the more I read on it and the more I liked it, and next, you know, I was unloading. Tell me why you like the Browns.
You guys got a huge number. I saw your text from Vegas. That was a pretty epic trip. You got a massive number, and then you move the line. You know, when you put a big bet down and the line moves, you are originators. It's yeah. Please share.
So we saw the number 40-1 on the Browns. And you take a look at this on the offensive side of the ball. They have a dual threat quarterback with a lot to prove in his second season in Deshaun Watson. I trust him more than any other quarterback in the AFC come playoff time against guys like Mahomes, Burrow, Allen, whoever he decides to run into. And last year they had a top 5 run game with arguably the best running back in the game. The wide receiving core got stronger by adding Elijah Moore. And as we know, continuity is so important on the offensive line, where in the past couple, I'd say 3 seasons, they've had the same offensive line where they ranked 3rd in pass block win rate in 2022. And when you go to the other side of the ball, they added Zadarius Smith and Shelby Harris. And something that's really important that a lot of people don't look at is only 3 of the 8 road teams that they play are favored to make the playoffs. So I think that the Cleveland Browns are going from worst to first and going straight to the Super Bowl.
And on top of that, they bring in Jim Schwartz as a defensive coordinator, who, I mean, he helped the Eagles win the Super Bowl in 2017. So how much did you factor that, that into your?
It was really important because he ran a really good defense in Philadelphia as well, and I think that was a key piece to kind of spice things up for that defense.
Yeah, let me give you another side to that. I appreciate and I respect where you're coming from, because 40-1 is a huge number, and you're not looking for them necessarily to win the Super Bowl. You're looking for them to make the playoffs, right? Because there's a great hedge. You're at 40-1. You have all kinds of opportunity to make money on that bet. But I'll tell you what, I like the other side of that in the Browns not winning 9.5 games, right? That we can still get this line at 9.5. I like the Browns winning less than 9.5 games.
Opposition.
Hold on 1 second. I need another 10 dimes on the Browns. I think Deshaun Watson is a wild card. I think that he is incredibly talented. I think he has, personal issues, whether right or wrong, meaning that he just there's a lot of energy surrounding him that can be very negative and that can distract, right? So when there are distractions, very often a lot of players don't perform. So I think that there's a decent chance that he is not the Deshaun, of the past. And you just factor that in with, they don't have the easiest schedule. They're playing some pretty tough teams. It's a tough division. And I know you're a little biased to the Ravens. I know you like the Ravens a little bit.
I believe I think the Ravens are underrated. I know it sounds crazy, but I think they're underrated. I think that the Ravens and the Chargers, who, the 8 ball has given out some really sharp futures with big numbers on the Chargers. I think that the people kind of forget about how strong the Ravens and the Chargers until playoff time.
Well, you know what happens to Lamar Jackson.
Ravens
playoffs.
And the Chargers come playoff.
Hold that thought, Jamie. We're going to go to the next segment. Don't go away. We're going to give out some more NFL picks.
Go passionately. Go fearlessly. Go confidently.
Go Birds!
Go confidently towards your goals with First Trust, Philly's hometown bank for nearly 90 years and the official bank of the Philadelphia Eagles. We're focused on getting you over the goal line. So go with conviction. Go with trust.
Go Birds!
And go forward with us by your side. First Trust Bank, the official bank of Philadelphia dreams. Oh, and go Birds.
The greatest fans on earth. It's a bold statement, But would you expect anything less from Philadelphia? 58 years of heartache creates a toughness, a grit, a resolve not found in most. Sure, our prayers were answered, but now that we've had a taste, we're looking for more. Pondley Hockey, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Go to get your game on. Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the stakes and the stakes. Go to get your parlay on. Go to get your party on. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean. Visit theoceanac.com to plan your visit.
EAGLES. Eagles.
Welcome back to the Sports Betting Show. I'm the Philly Godfather from thephillygodfather.com. Hope you guys are enjoying all the content from the Pro Football Doc, from Tom Gable at the Borgata. Catch us on SiriusXM, JAKIB Sports Media, and Sports Grid networks all across the country.
Sports Grid is the only sports betting network on SiriusXM.
There you go there. Now let me go to 8 Ball before I go to you, Jamie. 8 Ball, you got a great price on this team, on this AFC future. Let everyone know who you bet, when you bet it, and how much that line has moved since you bet it.
So on May 10th, we got ahead of the market. We fired the Dolphins at 40-1. If you look now, this number is about 20, 25-1 everywhere you shop. So we definitely got a great number on this team. The way I look at this team is they were 8-3 last year before Tua goes down with all those concussions. They go to Buffalo in the playoff game, and if Tua's starting that game instead of Skylar Thompson, they're going into Buffalo and they're knocking Buffalo out. They added a lot of pieces. You have Jalen Ramsey coming back midseason. You have one of the fastest offensive units in the NFL with Waddle, Hill, Mostert coming out the backfield. You have all those players in the second-year system under Mike McDaniels, who I think is a key to the entire puzzle. Bradley Chubb's in his second year on that D-line. I think they have an abundance of talent on both sides of the ball here. I think they're underpriced here. They're 3-1 to win a division. I think Buffalo's dealing with some injuries. I think Von Miller's hurt for the first
he's out
4-6 weeks of the season. I think it's going to take the Jets time to get their chemistry going. I don't think the Patriots have enough talent on this team this year. So I definitely love Miami to win the Super Bowl here.
Wow. So you got 40-1. It's down to 25-1. So there's still some value there for the guys listening out there on the Miami Dolphins. It is a tough division. But as an insurance policy, if late in the season things don't go their way and they get a little banged up, what do you think about their coach for Coach of the Year, Mike McDonald, at 20-1?
I think Mike McDaniels is the AFC's version of Sean McVay. He came from the same system with Shanahan. You saw it last year, that offense, it worked wonders for Tua. He went from being a bust to being one of the best quarterbacks in the league. I think he threw 26 touchdowns last year before he got hurt, and he was an MVP candidate for most of the season.
Yeah, I mean, they're dangerous. I mean, who do you cover on, the wide receivers?
Pick your poison.
Well, at 40-1, think about that. You're getting such great value. If they just go into the playoffs and get a playoff win, like, you're putting yourself in position to hedge and guarantee yourself cash. Yeah. And that's what we're about here, winning money.
Especially in a year where you got so many good quarterbacks in the AFC and you're getting such a great price. Everyone else is
quarterbacks.
Yeah, the number ain't there for them. I mean, the Jets are down to 16-1, 18-1. Buffalo, what are they, 8-1, 9-1, depending on where you shop.
Chiefs are 6-1.
The Chiefs are 6-1.
Chargers are 25-1, but you don't want to have to deal with that coach.
Yeah, I mean, how many points have they given up in the past 3 years? I mean, they
most
can score.
In NFL history.
Yeah, the most in NFL history. And the Ravens are 18-1, 17-1. Let me go to Jamie next. Is there any player props you like in the NFL this year? And who do you think is going to be the worst team this season in the NFL or the NFC or the AFC?
Well, looking at the Detroit Lions are such an exciting team to watch, and just seeing their progression. And the most exciting player on that team, I think, is Amon-Ra St. Brown. He's he gets the most targets. He had 6 receiving TDs last year, and I think he's going to be even better this year. So I like the over 5.5. I wouldn't go hard on it, but I like the over 5.5 for Amon-Ra St. Brown on receiving TDs. But a bet that I like even more, we talk about all the win totals, but I'd like to talk about the loss totals. I'd like to talk about.
So this is the gutter. We're talking about the gutter.
Let's go to the gutter. Let's get into the basement. Let's talk about the Arizona Cardinals. They are just not looking good in any way whatsoever, other than Buda Baker. What is there to talk about on this team in game one? We don't know how Kyler Murray is going to be when he comes back. And so the total is under 4.5 wins. I don't know that they're going to get 2.
Wow.
3, 4. They're not getting 5 wins, in my opinion. They have a really tough schedule. They're playing all, great or at least good teams. I love this under 4.5 wins. And then Godfather, you came up with a little lottery ticket for fun.
Yeah, it's not a great bet, but if it wins, I mean, you're going to get a big return. You can grab 16, 17 to 1 on the Cardinals going winless on the season.
They could easily blank.
They're that bad. Huh?
They could easily blank. I mean,
sweepstakes for Caleb Williams and Marvin Harrison Jr. They have the Texans first round pick. They have their own first round pick. So by the roster moves they're making, you can see they're tanking.
You might as well lose every game and cash that 17 to 1 ticket.
You know what? It's you put a little bit on. You put a little bit on that. I don't mind that at all. So did we get? Have we gotten? I know that people are really interested in all of your side picks. Are there any early picks that you guys have for the NFL? We're going to be back next week. We're going to talk seriously about week 1 in the NFL. So we don't really have to get into all the games. But are there any really great picks that you want to grab lines now early? I have a couple of teasers and fun plays that we'll add in there. But do you guys have any games that you're looking at?
Well, there's 3 teams that I tied into teasers, 3 different teaser combinations. That was Washington -1, the Packers +8, and the Dolphins +9. So if you want to mix and match them, I think they offer extreme value. You're going through some key numbers of 7, and you're taking the Washington down to 1. 6
what was
point
the third
teasers.
one?
You got Washington, you got Green Bay, and you got Miami. Miami's playing the Chargers.
What are we getting them at now?
I think you're getting them at +9. I think the line's 3. I haven't checked, but last time I checked, it was 3. So you bump it up to +9.
On a 6.
Yeah, so you're going through 7. With Washington, you're breaking it down below that key number of 3. You're laying 1 on Washington. I think you can make some money with those teasers in week 1. One of my biggest wagers that I gave out a while back, and I know 8Ball's on it as well. 8Ball, what's one of your biggest wagers in week 1?
The Dallas Cowboys -3 Sunday night at New York.
Yeah, I like them too. I actually laid the -150 on the money line.
Giants always play them tough, but this year they are just so outmatched.
Yeah,
the Cowboys. They always keep it close, but the Cowboys are just such a better team.
I mean, the way we feel about the Cowboys, they might start off the season 5-0.
So what do you think about this? So there's actually I know I've learned from you. You don't go through the number, but I like this 7-point teaser.
You're going through
paying a little extra, yeah. But I like getting the Cowboys +3.5, extreme insurance. And the Commanders even.
I mean, I just don't like going through a 0 because, 1, 2, 1, they're not really worth that much. 3 is so powerful. 7 is strong.
So it's not a plus EV bet.
Yeah. But I mean, at the end of the day, you just got to win.
Right.
Let's be honest.
As long as it wins.
We're in this business to win long term. But if you see some of the biggest wagers we make, we try and get down in every way possible on that team. If we got such a huge edge on the side, we'll bet them on teasers. We'll take them in parlays. We'll maximize that edge as big as possible. Not just betting the side, but we'll bet it in every different kind of combination we can make.
All right, let me throw one out at you. So this is just for fun. I know that you rarely find value in the 3-team teasers, but you get 10 points. I know a lot of our listeners do like to make some bets for fun. Not every single bet has to be the sharpest, most perfect, right? We do have an audience that just wants to play for fun. And so for fun, I really like this 10-point teaser. You give me 10 points on the Chiefs, so I'm getting +4 with the Chiefs, who should win that game easily anyway, but you give me 4 as insurance.
But hold up, that line's going down. It opened 7, 6. I'm seeing 6s in the market.
Yeah, so 6.
Yeah.
So I'm saying just give me 4 with the Chiefs, right? And then the Ravens, they're a 10-point favorite. You're getting them even. I don't see them losing this game 1 at home. And the Niners, you're giving me 7.5, right? Because They're 2.5. So you're giving me 7.5 with the Niners.
There's a lot of noise about Pittsburgh. People are starting to be bullish on that
Outright.
Pittsburgh.
I can see the value and why people would be on Pittsburgh, but even if the Pittsburgh wins, I don't see them winning by 7.5 against the Niners. So that 3-team 10-point teaser, that's just my fun play of the week.
Let me go to 8-Ball next. 8-Ball, is there a regular season win total you like this year, or maybe two of them that you want to give out to the public listening?
Well, we said it, the entire time, the Dallas Cowboys over 9.5 wins. They play the Giants twice. They play the Commanders twice, and they have a soft schedule for the first 7-8 weeks of the season. I think this team easily wins 13, 14 games.
How do you feel about the San Diego Chargers, though?
I think they're a great team. I can't take their coach, though. Give up a 27-0 lead last year in the playoffs, left a bad taste in my mouth.
So it definitely calls for concern with that head coach. But good thing for the Chargers is, guess what? They have a new OC in town, which is going to be calling a lot of the plays.
They're going to put up a lot of points. They got those two big, tall receivers.
And you know what's going to help with that? Change of coaching and change of offensive duties a little bit, play calling, is those fourth downs that they didn't convert. The defense was in a tough spot, liable spot to give up points. And now I don't think that's going to happen as much. I think they're going to maybe control the clock a little more. So we'll see what happens with this Chargers team. I'm interested to see how Herbert fits with Moore.
I think he can fit anywhere. I got him. I got 2 MVP tickets. Dak Prescott 20-1, Justin Herbert 10-1. And I actually nibbled a little bit on the Chargers to win the West. I know Jamie's going to think I'm crazy because he loves the Chiefs, but I like the Chargers a little bit in that division. April, you think they can win? If
you're getting the right price, it's all that matters.
I mean, I like the plus money. I like the plus money. Let me go back to Matt here. Matt, real quick, is there any regular season win totals you like on the season?
So actually, I'm on the same one as the 8-Ball, Dallas Cowboys over in win total. I mean, I believe this team, he said it before, they're not just the best team in their division. They're not just the best team in their conference. They're the best team on the damn planet. This team, Dak Prescott.
It's a big statement. That's a tagline right there. Best team on the planet.
If Dak Prescott comes in MVP form,
yeah, they're dangerous.
They're more than dangerous.
People don't realize
they're lethal.
That defense, they're comparing them to some of the best defenses in the last 20 years.
They're going to cause a lot of turnovers. That pressure rate, that defensive pressure havoc rate, they're going to be some monsters coming at you.
April, real quick. NFC North, you got a surprise pick to win that division. No one's you were the first guy to put it out there. Now I'm seeing some people piggyback. Who do you like in the NFC North?
The Green Bay Packers 4-1. I think Jordan Love's going to be great this year. I mean, he's played great in preseason. You saw it last year when he came into the game. Rodgers got hurt against Philadelphia. He lit up that secondary who had been shutting down every other quarterback they played to that point. I think they're a sleeper. I don't like the Chicago Bears. Minnesota Vikings played in a bunch of one-score games last year, and then you saw what happened in the playoffs. The true character came out, true colors.
Detroit Lions.
I think Detroit has a great offense. Dan Campbell's a good coach. Jared Goff's a good quarterback. But that defense, I can't buy into that defense. Last year, they were 32nd in opponent yards per play. And in my opinion, they didn't do enough to correct that.
I'm on the other side. I like Detroit a little bit. I got them to win the division, so we don't always agree. But that's it for this segment. Make sure you guys come back. We got more winning wagers for everybody.
Go passionately. Go fearlessly. Go confidently.
Go first!
Go confidently towards your goals with First Trust, Philly's hometown bank for nearly 90 years and the official bank of the Philadelphia Eagles. We're focused on getting you over the goal line. So go with conviction, go with trust,
Go Birds!
and go forward with us by your side. First Trust Bank, the official bank of Philadelphia dreams. Oh, and go Birds.
The greatest fans on earth. It's a bold statement, but would you expect anything less from Philadelphia? 58 years of heartache creates a toughness, a grit, a resolve not found in most. Sure, our prayers were answered, but now that we've had a taste, we're looking for more. Pondley Hockey, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Go to get your game on. Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the stakes and the stakes. Go to get your parlay on. Go to get your party on. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean. Visit theoceanac.com to plan your visit.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Welcome back to the Sports Betting Show. And before I go to my friend John Grace out in Vegas to talk about the Vegas lifestyle, I want to get Jamie over here to give a recap of everything we gave out today on the show.
Yeah, we were a little short on time because there was so much exciting information in this show. So I'm going to kind of run through this really quickly. We had the Cowboys on over 9.5 wins. We had the Cowboys at 16-1 as a future. We had the Jags minus 150 approximately for their division. The Niners minus 160 for their division. The Browns at 40-1 as a future for the Super Bowl, which is a huge price early. I like the Browns at under 9.5 wins. The Cardinals under 4.5 wins. The three-teamer of the 10-point teaser with the Chiefs and the Ravens and the Niners, and the teaser with the Cowboys and the Commanders just for fun. And then you gave us the Washington at 1, Packers at 8 and 9 at and Miami at 9. Thank you. As the three teams you can mix and match for your teasers. Dak Prescott at 20-1 and Herbert at 10-1
to be MVP.
Yeah.
So no further ado, let's bring on my buddy John Grace, and he's actually one of the sharpest sports bettors out in Vegas. He placed in the top 50 in the Circa contest last year. John, how you making out there in Vegas?
Hey, what's going on, guys? Can you hear me?
Yeah, hear you good.
Awesome.
What's going on in Vegas? What's hot right now? What's not? What's popping out there?
Man, in Vegas, there's a lot of construction going on for Formula One. The entire strip right behind me here is being ripped up, and down there, I can't really zoom in on my webcam, but down here is where the new paddocks will be for the F1 race November 16th through 18th. So this entire summer, the strip, and about, I think, 3.1 miles of the road outside of the strip and the strip have been ripped up, and it's just been tons of traffic. Also, there's a new casino opening up Q4, December. Fountain Blue, finally, after 10 plus years of being under construction and sitting there after the recession. They're finally kind of bringing that Miami Fountain Blue type of energy down to the end of the strip near Circus. So that's going to be exciting. And then obviously the Super Bowl's coming up here in Vegas in February. So yeah, a lot of good things happening out here, and a lot of construction and transition. So that's kind of what's going on out here. I'm excited to be in the contest again. I finished 69th in the Circa Million.
That's still a very impressive.
Very impressive.
Yeah, 53, 32, and 5 in Circa, and 26th in Westgate, 54, 33, and 3. And then, yeah, I was on that Bills and Bengals game, so that was kind of a wash. So
what's your sharpest pick for week 1 in the NFL?
Man, I've got a few. I've been kind of following along and listening to you guys and putting some bets in. One thing I want to add, I'm on the Cowboys as well, like most of you guys, but I think a bet that people should look at is the most regular season wins. Dallas Cowboys plus 1275 at Circa right now. I think there's going to be some regression in Philly. No offense, guys. I know you're out there in Philly and big fans. But I think if something happens to Jalen, he gets hurt, Marcus Mariota might not be a great answer for you guys there. So I think that division's the Cowboys to lose. And I'm going along with 8-ball Cowboys -3. Unfortunately, unfortunately with the contest, I'll probably have to get it at 3.5 or 4. But I'm on that. I really like the Jets Monday night. I know that's kind of a recency bias watching Hard Knocks, but really think Garrett Wilson and Aaron are going to form a really special connection, similar to what he had with Devontae Adams in Green Bay. I like a few futures in the receiving yards market. I nibbled at CeeDee Lamb plus 1,800 to lead the league in receiving yards, and then also Garrett Wilson as well at 25 to 1.
That's great stuff, John. All right, we're going to wrap it up. I want you to tell everyone where they can find you on social media, on Twitter, what your website is. I want you to give out everything because you hooked us up big time in Las Vegas. You got us in restaurants we couldn't get into, and we really appreciate it. Yeah, definitely, man. I appreciate you guys coming out here and showing love. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, all the social media handles at John Grace, JONGRACE. I run bachelorvegas.com, bachelorettevegas.com, and vegasvipservices.com. Independent hosting company can help you guys with hotel reservations, limos, dinners, all-inclusive packages and itineraries and schedules, everything priced per person. Do a lot of work. You got a producer. You got our producer so happy. You can't even see him, but he's jumping up and down. Because we're coming out to Vegas for Radio Row, and when I told him about you, he got so excited. I said, "We got the main guy. He can get us in anywhere." Oh yeah, his tickets now. You guys want to do a show right up here? Like I told you guys, when you were up here. We can get you guys. We can get a little crew here, and I can lock the door. So, I'm definitely excited for that Radio Row, and hopefully we'll all be cashing in the contests and celebrating during playoff time. So that's awesome. I also, I know we're all high on the Cowboys and Dolphins. A couple exactas I nibbled on was Cowboys over Dolphins and vice versa. I like it. That's why I like John so much. He fires. He's just like us. You're part of the animals now, John. You're in. Anyway, we got to wrap it up, John. We got to wrap. I don't want to cut you short, but we're running out of time. Thanks for coming on, and we'll see you next week, man. Thanks, brother. Thank you, guys. And that's the show. Hope you guys enjoyed our first episode of the Sports Betting Show. Always follow the action. Thank you, Jamie Gold. Thank you, 8-Ball. Thank you, Matt Maltepes from the College Kids, Bobby, Sheep, and we're still looking for Rooster. We're out.
Go passionately. Go fearlessly. Go confidently.
Go Birds!
Go confidently towards your goals with First Trust, Philly's hometown bank for nearly 90 years, and the official bank of the Philadelphia Eagles. We're focused on getting you over the goal line. So go with conviction. Go with trust.
Go Birds!
And go forward with us by your side. First Trust Bank, the official bank of Philadelphia dreams. Oh, and go Birds.
the greatest fans on earth. It's a bold statement, but would you expect anything less from Philadelphia? 58 years of heartache creates a toughness, a grit, a resolve not found in most. Sure, our prayers were answered, but now that we've had a taste, we're looking for more. Pondley Hockey, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Go to get your game on. Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the stakes and the stakes. Go to get your parlay on. Go to get your party on. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean. Visit theoceanac.com to plan your visit.
EAGLES. Eagles.